Okay, the recording has started. This is the January 22nd, 2019 Crossplane community meeting. And I recognize, I think, almost every single name today. So welcome to some of the folks that might not have been to a community meeting yet, but I recognize you from GitHub, like Daniel and Vinu and Zach I've seen before as well, and Omar as well. So welcome back, all you guys. Good to have you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about some project status here. So since the last community meeting, we, at that point, we had done some initial 2019, looking ahead planning to see what were the major priorities and milestones that we wanted to accomplish, at least in the next 6 months or so. And so we turned that into a roadmap. Now, so the roadmap has been officially updated at roadmap.md. So the 0.1 milestone, that's shipped, that's out the door. That was the part of the December 4th initial release. And there's a lot of good things in there that are all done and completed. So then 0.2 is the milestone that we're currently focusing on. That's the milestone that we are actively in progress on. And so some of the major themes for that, which shouldn't be too much of a surprise, excuse me, because these are items that we had sort of discussed already in the 2019 planning document. But the big one there is the workload scheduler. Ilya and Ravi have started on design for the workload scheduler in terms of some of the early features that we want to support in it and sort of the phases that we want to implement features in. So I think that there will be a pull request open for that thinking soon to get more comments on that. Ilya, do you want to comment on the workload scheduler design or any other things to say about that?
Yes, so I gathered initial feedback on the Google Docs, so I think we're ready to just transform it to Markdown and put it in the GitHub as a pull request, so we can expose it to broader audience and broader comments.
Awesome, sounds great. Is Ravi on the list today? I don't think I see. Ravi's not here. Okay. All right, and then some other important features or things we want to implement are some new services. For Postgres is already in master, that's done. MongoDB and Redis are two of the other ones that we think have good bang for the buck, good value, and that we want to go after and implement. Those managed services, particularly Redis and Postgres, those are actually in service as well of wanting to be able to support GitLab, which is in the 0.3 milestone. So we want to make sure that all of the services that GitLab, the deployment of GitLab depends on, are supported across all the cloud provider environments and be able to bring together the entire GitLab application, complicated application deployments in the next milestone. Then there's a number of issues in other classes. So, improved experience stuff, performance, reliability, and like engineering debt, technical debt as well. And then also there's a category, a classification of issues here about supporting services that run locally or in cluster services that support the operator pattern. So there's a fair amount of those in Rook that would be good to support. We've already got some of that support going on, some of the initial proof of concept work for CockroachDB using the Rook operator. So there's some more thinking to go around there and kind of formalize the proposal for how, in general, managed services that have, that run in cluster and support the operator pattern can be supported, but there already has been some work accomplished on that. And then the 0.3 milestone. So the time frame that we're talking about, by the way, is we're talking about doing quarterly releases. So 0.2 would be looking at the end of March, early April timeframe is what we're initially thinking. Obviously that's going to be open to a number of parameters like quality and how much progress we make and such. But that's the general thinking. And then that would set up a 0.3 for around the end of May, early June, which would be in KubeCon Barcelona timeframe. So looking at the 0.2 milestone, we've all the milestones and issues and everything and projects, this is all up to date on the GitHub site now. So you can see in the 0.2 milestone that there's a number of issues that don't yet have owners, but we've identified as issues that we want to target or features that we want to implement for the 0.2 milestone. So what this is saying is that there's a lot of opportunity from the community to pick up some of these issues. As we get through them, we'll claim more issues, as we free up other developers to work on them. But there's a lot of good opportunity here for folks in the community to, identify something they may be interested in and go ahead and start taking a stab at that work as well. I've gotten a handful of messages on Slack and emails and such about new contributors or folks that are interested in picking up some work here. So, I want to continue to encourage everyone that's, something that we highly support. And, I'm happy to spend time with folks getting you ramped up or figuring out where our new contributor documentation may be lacking or missing right now so that we can continue to improve and iterate on that experience of onboarding new contributors and continue to grow the community. Does anybody have any comments about the roadmap in general or the milestones like 0.2 that we're currently working on?
Has the GitLab, have you moved some of the milestones to version 3?
So in terms of GitLab, that's the milestone that we're targeting, having that support completed. There's a number of things along the way there, like supporting Redis and supporting Postgres and things like that GitLab will depend on. But that's targeting the 0.3 milestone. Yes. And if you're interested in that too, there's on the Crossplane Slack, there's now a GitLab channel that you can join and follow along and contribute and participate in the discussion there for the GitLab support going forward.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Alrighty. So, moving on to the community topics here, we had talked last week, or last meeting, about good first issues. I had an action item to go through the repository and identify issues that might be good for a first-time contributor to get into the repo and understand some of the source code layout and the developer process and such. So I did that. I went through the whole repo, or all the issues opened in the repo, and identified ones that I thought might be good for first-time contributors. So this query, the label here, the good first issue label, should be up to date with a lot of different items that might be good for someone to come in and check out. And not all of them are in the 0.2 milestone, so they're not targeted for the next milestone we want to release. But I would give the advice that if you see something in this good first issue list that you're interested in and you think would help you get onboarded and become a contributor to the project, please do feel free to work on it. Just because it's not in the 0.2 milestone, I would not say that if it's something you're interested in and you think it would be good to bring you into the project, go ahead and start working on it, or talk to us, leave a comment on the issue, and we can assign it to you and help you get onboarded on figuring out how to tackle that issue. But there should be a fair amount of these that would be good. Alrighty. So we might not need to go into much discussion on this, but I wanted to at least get a pulse from folks in the community here. There's in the Rook project, the CNCF project that some of us also contribute to. It's a cloud native storage orchestrator that focuses on orchestrating and deploying and managing storage solutions in cluster. There is a proposal there that had started as how to provision buckets for Ceph, but it's kind of morphed into a generalized bucket provisioning proposal. And I was wondering if anybody had the opportunity to take a look at that or provide feedback on that. My gut feel is that, we want to collaborate with the folks that are interested in that work, because we've already done some of this work as well in the Crossplane project to support, dynamic provisioning of buckets in a generalized way. So I was wondering if anybody had any thoughts on that, or if they had already taken a look at it and wanted to comment in this forum. If not, then we could move along.
Hey Jared, I thought we were gonna like set up a meeting with all the interested parties and kind of treat that as a topic that we can all discuss.
Yes, I had asked for some time on people's calendars starting Friday, so I think that's being followed up on right now.
Okay, great.
Yeah, but yeah, I just wanted to see if anybody from this community had happened to, have an opinion on it already. But yeah, that's a good reminder though too. If anybody from this meeting here is interested in having a discussion with, with an audience that's has already been focusing on that proposal and the authors of that proposal, just add your name to the agenda document here, and I'd be happy to include you in that meeting as well. And actually, go ahead and add a link to the agenda doc here in the chat, so that if you didn't see it on the Crossplane Slack, you could see it now. Okay, so Omar, you added a topic here about testing in quick setup. Do you want to go ahead and speak about that?
Yeah, I was just wondering if there is a way to rapidly or quickly set up an environment where Crossplane is working. And to go even further, I was thinking about having so for instance, for the people who are working on GitLab, if they have a test environment where they have automated tests for what you're implementing.
Yeah, so there's, I'm not sure what you have already seen in the repo, so this may be information you already know, but it could also be useful for anybody else on the call now. But the first thing I would address there is that, running Crossplane is supported on Minikube environments. So you could run the set of controllers and custom resources, et cetera, on Minikube. And so that's in the cluster local directory. There's a README there about how to run Crossplane just in your local environment on Minikube. And that's a lot of those instructions should also work too for like using the Helm chart here to install the Crossplane controllers and CRDs to any environment. I think Ilya runs using micro Kates on his Linux machine.
I can chime in on that. So this way, using local setup will actually require for you to build Crossplane, build Docker image, and deploy it into Minikube. A little bit maybe heavy-handed for quick iterations. If you look into the Kube Builder project, which is Crossplane is based on, we're using it as a scaffolding, there is an option that to run locally. So you can actually run your Go binaries locally, Crossplane entirely, pointing to a specific API server, and that enables you rather rapid iterations in terms of unit tests and full runs. Ping me offline if you need more information. I can elaborate more.
And that does not require any Kubernetes environments, right? That's doing like a Go run so that it starts the controller in a local process on your machine, right?
That is correct. That is correct. The Crossplane itself. In other words, you can debug it, you can step through it, you can do basically anything you can do with local Go process.
Yeah, you know what we should do? Yeah, I think that we should follow up and get that documented as well, because if that's a fast way to iterate as a developer, that's faster than Minikube, and also the point you bring up about being able to use a debugger too, that we should at least point somewhere to the instructions.
Just clear that it's really not related to Minikube. You can still do that with the Minikube, or in fact, you can point to any Kubernetes API which you have full control of. So you still can run locally against Minikube.
Yeah, I think it answers my question and my topic.
Yeah, if you need more information, ping me and I can elaborate more. I can show you example.
Yeah, and I wrote, it's like an action item here. I wrote the developer developer documentation to get the docs updated to kind of get that more formally captured, so that folks can just come into the repo can also get those instructions. That actually brings up an interesting question, though, and one I haven't thought about yet until just now. That some of the test work, of developing and running some of the Crossplane controllers to actually do useful work, like deploying a Postgres instance to Google Cloud, the Google Cloud or Amazon. That starts up managed services in cloud provider environments that would end up, resulting in charges. Actually costs money to do that. So I haven't really thought about that, about a good way to be running Crossplane and testing, for in a way that doesn't result in any charges if you're using it to start up managed services. Running the Crossplane controllers itself obviously doesn't require any. There's no charges associated with that. Any thoughts on that, Ilya?
Well, not really. So unless we're talking about venturing the domain of mocking the managed services, I would say that it's probably acceptable to spin up and tear down managed services. Granted that user have to provide also credentials to do so. So there is no shared credentials or shared environment right now. No, I think we will probably add anytime. So it's just like almost to say that I want to test against the managed service and cloud provider, kind of what are my options? And maybe some cloud providers give you different facets to do that without actually spinning up the managed resource. I don't know.
It'd be something to continue thinking about too. Okay, and then I think Omar, you had mentioned another thing about GitLab as well, and so that discussion is still very early with GitLab folks, and there has not yet been an environment defined about running tests or iterating over a deployment of GitLab. So on the just join the GitLab channel and the Crossplane Slack, and you should be able to capture any updates there, or you can ask that question there, and we can include that in the discussion as we're going forward. Okay. Yeah, so the next set of items here is about PRs that would need attention. I didn't see any that I thought we needed to address here. So that looks like a shorter agenda today than normal, but I'll open the floor if anybody has any other topics that they wanted to bring up in this community setting. The floor is open. All right. Okay, so we're going to continue working on the 0.2 milestone. There's a reminder. There's a fair amount of issues that are open and don't have assignees right now. So if anybody is looking to figure out what they how they want to help contribute to this project, we could discuss about it and get some new owners on those issues and help you get ramped up. And as I mentioned, people have been pinging me, and we're starting to talk about getting into starting how to get involved in the project. So let's keep doing that. And I'm looking forward to all the folks that have expressed their enthusiasm about working on the project here. So with that, I think we could adjourn for the day.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Ciao, ciao.
Thank you.
Good night.